I have a few questions for each of the contributors, and then we'll open it up into a kind of roundtable. So I wanted to start with a not so happy new year. Zaee Bullard-Smith is a junior at School Without Walls who's joining us tonight. She is an artist, a slam poet, a writer, and a makeup artist. She describes herself as a down-to-earth vibe that prefers in-the-moment experiences and connections over technology use and social media. And Zaee, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right, so welcome. Thank you so much for submitting to Through the Cracks and for sharing your poetry with us and your talent with us. So I want to just start off by asking you to talk about the process of composing this piece. How did you and your fellow organizers with Teen Empowerment compose this? Did you all write a piece of it? Did someone write it and you edit it together? How did you do it?
Okay, so the process, it was very difficult at first. We were lost and we didn't know what to do. It was pretty last minute. Also, it was hard to really brainstorm and work together considering that, you know, it was virtual. Mm-hmm. So we had to find some way to communicate with each other. And so what we did, we all wrote our pieces individually, just a reflection of what 2020 really was to us, what stood out, and what it meant to us, you know, the good parts, the bad parts. And then from that, we, you know, it was just a free writing. We turned that into the poem. Each section, you know, put what we thought went with what together. And then we put specifically like the better part, the good part, highlighting. And the end, you know, just to show that through all that hardship, it helped us grow, and we're still growing, we're still going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and you produced this video together with Mariell, Rosario, and Ilaina Mahoney, who also are organizers with Teen Empowerment here in Rochester. Did you learn anything about your fellow organizers in composing this? Were you surprised by their perspectives, or were you all kind of on the same page in terms of what you thought was most significant about 2020?
I learned a lot about Ilaina in the process. She's a pretty quiet, pretty chill girl, really nice, but you know, she doesn't open up much. So for her, it was a big step to share that and to be okay with those lines being added. So I learned a lot about her. Mariell and I were friends before then, so I knew pretty much a lot about her, but I'd say that she learned more about me because I don't share much. And that Ilaina and Mariell definitely learned from each other.
Mm-hmm. So you describe yourself as an artist and slam poet who prefers in-the-moment experiences over technology use and social media. And so I wanted to ask you about that, particularly because, you know, youth media culture is so visual, especially right now. It's all about communicating in short bursts and bites, with TikTok being just one example. So what is it that appeals to you about slam poetry and spoken word? It seems like in some ways it's kind of the anti-TikTok.
So for me, I was always pretty laid back, pretty reserved, and I was really quiet. I always loved writing, but you know, I didn't know much about poetry. I knew like basic stuff that we learned in elementary school, but I didn't really know what slam was. Mm-hmm. And then when I transferred over to School Without Walls, that school really opened me up. I had a teacher, Mariana Berry, in our extended class. It's like a homeroom. Our topic of the class was slam poetry. So literally the whole year, you know, we learned how to write slams, different types. We did duo, group poems, just a bunch of different poems. And ever since then, it's just been something I love doing, especially when it comes to like social justice issues and community events. I'm always like the first to volunteer.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you about social justice issues in Rochester and the kinds of issues that you in Teen Empowerment are working on. You know, I know that teen empowerment does a lot of advocacy work, does lobby days, does activism, or has organized marches in the streets over the summer. I just want to ask you about what are the issues that you are organizing around right now in Rochester, and how has the pandemic and remote learning and all of those things affected the work that teen empowerment does?
At the moment, we're working on a lot of mental health stuff. The pandemic has taken a big, point on a lot of people because we're virtual. We're not getting as much social contact as we usually do. We're not able to do what we need on a daily basis. So there's a lot of youth and adults that are dealing with these feelings and these emotions that they've never dealt with before. So they don't know how to identify it. They don't know how to cope with it and deal with it. So we're looking for ways to share outreach, and we want to plan an event for that, focusing on that, find a way to get the youth to engage and people to interact. And it's hard since a lot of places are closed and there's limited capacity. We've been working on some projects. I won't share them, but some projects that we hope will help. And then we're also working with the Police Accountability Board, trying to see what they're going to do with the new building. Since 2016, there's been a proposal to turn the empty space on East Main into a police building, but people are fighting. They'd rather see it as a community building. And we're also working to get the funds that back in RCSD that are in debt. So it's a few things we're working on right now.
It's just a few, right? Yeah. No, that's a lot of great work that you all are doing. Thank you so much for your art, your activism, your advocacy work. Zaee, Bullard-Smith of Teen Empowerment, stay with us. We'll circle back around to you when we go to the panel discussion part of tonight. Thanks again for sharing your thoughts with us. I want to turn to video number 2 now, Return to Work.